Yeah, bring on AI, because the rest of us that create and make and put this stuff out into the world, like, we're going to stand out from that.
You're listening to Creative Rebels, the podcast for creatives. Welcome back, Rebels. I'm going to be in New York in June. So if you are a New York-based creative and you want to connect, then drop me a DM at DavidSpeedUK on Instagram is probably the best place to go. Our listenership in the States all of a sudden has exploded. Not sure why, not sure what's happened. Maybe a big account has like shared us somewhere and I've not noticed it. But whatever's happened, anyway, I'm very grateful. Hello to all of our new American listeners. Welcome. Lovely to have you here. Sorry about what's happening in your country, but you are Creative Rebels and it's beautiful to have you here. It was always something Adam and I really wanted to do, was like classic Brits, like go and conquer the States, and was never something. We never had a huge listenership over there, but now our American, like, and it's all of a sudden as well, so it's crazy. All of a sudden our American listenership almost matches the percentage of listeners from the UK, so that is crazy. Very grateful for that, and welcome aboard. So yeah, this episode this week is about escaping from social media. Seth Werkheiser runs the Social Media Escape Club. And what a beautiful thought, what a beautiful utopia to get away from social media. I think 90% of creatives don't want to be content creators. I know there's 10% who do and really enjoy it, and good for you, that's great. But for the 90% that don't, this episode is for you. Let's look at how can we connect with people in real life? How can we connect with people via mailing lists? Which are such a powerful and underutilized tool. It's the first thing I say to any creative that I meet is, have you got a mailing list? Are you collecting people's email? Have you got, because these platforms, they can disappear. You can get hacked. That, like, so many things can happen, and your mailing list is yours. You own it. And it's a direct link to chat with people who give a shit about what you do. And that is the most important thing. I really struggle with showing up regularly on social media. I resent having to be a content creator. I resent the fact that the opportunities that I get are directly proportional to the amount that I post on social media. And I'm so stubborn that I still don't post on there nearly enough. So if you're in the boat of finding social media really annoying, doing it other ways is not going to be easy. It's going to be just as challenging as posting online, but maybe it's going to be better for your mental health, and it will be a lot of hard work, but it will be worth it. I think in real life events, mailing lists and more longer form content, I think, are really important, and they build deep connections with your audience, and that's what we're talking about in this episode is making the work that you care about and then distributing it in a way that works for you. So Seth Werkheiser, he is a legend. Check him out. Social Media Escape Club. Let's go. So welcome back, Rebels. I'm joined today by Seth Werkheiser, who I discovered on Substack because he runs something called the Social Media Escape Club. And I think I know for a fact that a lot of listeners to this show, that's definitely a club that they want to be a part of, but probably feel like they couldn't ever escape social media because it's so like intrinsically like part of our lives and woven into the fabric of every day now. So Seth, I wanted to first ask you, currently in big 2025, what do you think is the state of social media?
Yeah, if social media wasn't a dumpster fire before, it's full. I don't know how much more dumpster fire it can get with the owners of all these companies just doing whatever they're doing. Yeah. That no one needs a reminder of what they're doing and how they're spending their money and resources. So yeah, the state of social media, it's interesting because, like you said, it's so, I keep seeing it. Like I'll see people saying like, oh, I need to get off of social media, this and that. And then there'll be like 4 comments below them of like, oh, I wish I could too, but I have a small business and that's how I get. But then the conversation is starting to turn of like, no. You don't need it. There's going to be ways that you can further your business and further your brand and your artwork and everything else that doesn't require constantly being on social media. So I think the tides are turning in 2025. More and more, it's not just me shouting from the rooftops of, going back to 2021, 2020 of like, hey, you should have an email list. There's a lot more people now saying like, yeah, you should have an email list and a website and not spend all your time on social media.
If I ever get a chance to sit down like on a one-on-one with an artist, the first thing I ask them is, have you got an email list?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And how many of them say they do?
Very, very small percentage, like maybe 10%. Or they say, I kind of had one and I've got like 10 subscribers on it, but I don't really use it. And I'm just like, dust that baby off and get her running again. Because, I mean, you and I, a little bit older, we've seen Vine come and go. We've seen MySpace come and go. We've seen all of these platforms where I had 20,000 followers on Vine. That's all gone into the ether. Like, they will never find me again. But if I'd been smart enough to collect email addresses from the people who, I don't want all 20,000. I just want the people who really give a shit, the people who actually are invested enough to get an email from me. They're the people you want anyway. And so, yeah, so all of my Vine followers, rest in peace, they've all gone. And that could happen to Instagram. It nearly happened to TikTok recently. Like, one of the biggest platforms in the world nearly wiped out an entire continent, just disappeared. So you've got to nurture and keep your audience.
Yeah, and right now in the US, you can't download TikTok. If you haven't downloaded and had an account before, like your fans or whatever like that, if you're telling them to, watch my stuff on TikTok, they can't. They're cut off right now. So unless they still have the app on their phone, but yeah, it's a wild state of affairs right now. And that's really interesting what you said about like so many people not having email addresses, because yeah, we all did it. Like when MySpace came along, great, I don't need a website anymore. And then it was like that burned down. Oh, well, I don't need a website anymore. I'll just set up on Facebook. And it just kept going and kept going. And now all these years, like to your point, like I wish I had an email list or held on to some of the email lists I had dating back that far. Those came and went, and, I wasn't thinking 15, 20 years into the future. So
that's the advantage you have if you're listening to this podcast, is that you can now be thinking, we know now that in 20 years' time, this is still going to be relevant. It's still going to be a direct line to the inbox of people who care about you. Because I think the thing about the inbox is I've got a separate inbox. Every time I buy something and they demand my details, it goes to that separate inbox, which I never check, because I do love, sometimes I'll go in there and I do just love kind of scrolling through it and realizing to myself how every single one of those emails just wants my money. They don't want anything other than my money. And it's really interesting seeing the clickbait titles of exclusive and this is the last chance to, and whatever, and just seeing this like kind of almost like desperation. And then I look in my non-buying stuff inbox and it's just like beautiful art, and it's stuff that I'm going to be much more willing to give money for, ironically, is just the stories that I'm following along with, the people that I'm invested in, that I'm just checking in with. And like, what a beautiful surprise. It's like getting a letter like, oh, here's an email from a creator that I just love their shit and this is what they're up to. That's exciting and interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can go so many different ways, because to your point, like the artists and the musicians or bands that I deal with on occasion, like I'll have that conversation of like, do you have an email list? And one or two of clearly remember them saying like, yeah, I used to have an email list, but like it had 10% open rate and no one clicked anything. And it's like, yeah, because it was like that Best Buy or that stupid, marketing email. Because that's all you sent was like, here's a picture of our record and here's a buy now button from a little tiny independent band. That works for record labels that I work for and such. And, all these record labels are sending stuff because they have 30,000 people, 40, 50,000 people on their email list. They send something, they make thousands of dollars. But if you're a small band, like you can't just pretend to be, or if you're an independent artist or a photographer, you can't like just do what everybody else is doing. You can't just send out those marketing emails and expect people to give a fuck about them. Like so many of us didn't sign up for like, yes, I love your photos or I love your artwork, but I really like you too. Like you the person. So tell me something. Tell me a story. Like tell me about the coffee you had with someone, last week, or the movie you went to see. And then of course put the little thing for sale at the bottom. To your point. Yeah, I'm going to buy something from them. So, yeah, that's the state of how it is today.
I think it's really important to state, like, I do also make thousands from, like, the big record labels do, but I also make thousands from my mailing list. Like,
Yes.
but like once or twice a year when I need to, then I'm like, now is the time. If you want something from me, this is your opportunity to buy it. And I stress on my social media platforms, the only place you're going to be able to buy something is my mailing list. And that's my kind of way of getting people to sign up to it, because I think what's really interesting and important to note is, like, I've got 130,000 followers on Instagram, and I've got 3,500 mailing list subscribers. So from that big, huge number of all of those followers, how many people care enough to get an email from me? It's 3,000. So that's such a smaller number. And I think that's, I mean, obviously that is business. We always talk about, like, the inverted pyramid of the top of the pyramid is people who are aware of you. The middle of the pyramid is people who are, like, interested and maybe interacting with you. And the bottom of the pyramid is the people who are actually going to buy something from you. So obviously that top number is going to be a lot higher, but it is interesting to think about, like, you see all of this, like, kind of success, quote unquote, on social media of, like, big numbers. And if they're not actually going to support that creative, then the number really doesn't mean anything. I'd much sooner have 10,000 engaged supporters in whatever form that would take than I would 100,000 people who don't really care.
Yeah, I always feel like, yeah, that number that goes down, like some of the people I've talked to that have, like, 6-figure Instagram followings, but, you know, then they only have, like, 30,000 email subscribers. To your point, yeah, like, if you have 3,500 followers, email subscribers, 30,000, whatever, you can make money from that. Like, you don't need 100 bajillion, and you don't need to upload videos to a platform that you don't control and cross your fingers and hope people see it. Like, you can just send an email. And like you were saying, like, you send an email and you make money, and that, like, you don't have to do that every day or twice a day. Like, you could do that on occasion, and it's a lot lower intensity. It's easier to set up. Like, you just send it, and for the next, 2-3 days, like, clicks come in, sales come in, whatever. And, like, so now all that time that you save not staring at your phone, you can make artwork, or you can write a song, or you can go and take photographs, or not do anything and just be bored and stare out the window, which is gonna make you better at what you do anyway. Instead, like, this social media thing just has everybody believing that, like, I have to be tethered to my phone. I have to engage. Every time I go out is a photo opportunity. Look at what I'm doing. Check this out. Like, everyone needs to know what everybody else is doing. Or just send an email once a week, and that's enough.
I just wanted to ask any, like, top tips that you've got for building a newsletter. What are the main mistakes that you see people making when they make their email newsletters?
Biggest thing I could say to grow or even start your email list is don't say sign up for updates. Tell people what you're going to get, what you're going to send them. If you're an artist, hey, here, if you want to see more of my art, I'm going to put it in my newsletter. So make sure you sign up for it. You mentioned, you can only buy it from my newsletter, so make sure you sign up for it. Saying updates or discounts and stuff like that, that's for department stores and car dealerships. Screw that. Like, we're artists, we're creatives. Tell people what you're going to get. If you write amazing rants on social media and you want to get people on your email list, say, I'm writing more rants on my newsletter about these topics and stuff like that, deeper thoughts, whatever. Go sign up for my email list. Tell people what you're going to send them. Stop saying sign up for updates.
Pretty sure mine says sign up for updates, so I can't change that.
Well, you're at a level where people give you the benefit of the doubt. But if people, like, have 0 or 10 subscribers, it's hard to make that sale. But if you're not, if you're already known, you can get away with it. It's like record labels that can send out pictures of records with a buy now button.
No, I mean, you're totally right. I will change it because
cool.
Because you're right. It's just one of those things that's so automatic, and it's me just following the crowd. It's like, oh, what is the language of the email newsletter? It's sign up for updates. I think that might even be the generic thing when you have like a MailChimp, when you add it to the thing, it's like the text that comes with it, sign up for updates. It's like the default. It's so predictable. But then the only way you're going to get people's attention is if you buck that. So no, that's good advice.
I would say too is in some way, I mean, with Substack, it's easier because like people go to the link and they could see what the newsletter is first. And that makes it real easy to be like, oh, well, this is what it looks like. I'm going to sign up. I just put my email address, click subscribe. With MailChimp and stuff like that, or other email services, you can't really see what the newsletter looks like. So show people what it looks like. If you could do a screenshot or something like that. Like, we've all signed up for enough newsletters that say sign up for updates, and that's exactly what it is, and it's boring, and we don't open them, down the road. Show people what it looks like. Show how it has graphics in it and text and this and that, and it's not just like, a store, a product catalog.
Yeah. So what's your stance? Would you say we should give up social media completely, or is there a place where social media for you or anyone that you're advising, or is it like a case by case basis, or like where do you stand?
Yeah, I don't think it can't be black and white. I mean, because there's a handful of people I talk to that are just like, look, I go on social media, I post my one or two things, I reply to some DMs, and I'm out, and they have no problem with it at all. And like, okay, great, cool. Whether it's Instagram or whatever, like, great, cool. A handful of these people recognize, like, yes, then I have my email list. Yes, I have my website. That's great. But there's, I don't mean to make light of it, but I mean, social media is highly addictive for a lot of people. And so like, I mean, there's people out there that, you can't tell an alcoholic, well, just have one drink. Like, it's not, they cannot do that. Like, it's ridiculous. You get punched in the face if you said that. So like, so there's a handful of people out there, or a lot of people out there, that cannot just go on social media and like do their two things and whatever, all of a sudden they lose 3 hours a day. Or if it's not that, it's compare and despair. It makes them feel bad at this and that. So it's a case by case, but ultimately I feel like in the long run, like I think more and more people just need to get off social media, and because people on social media want to be on social media, and like, it's hard to convert those people over to your email list, hard to get people to come to your website. But the people that you have right there in front of you, like the people on your email list, my email list, those are the most important people, in my world. So why do I want to spend time making content to post for strangers? Like, no, I have some great people already on my email list and or in my community, or doing things like this, like talking to other people, doing interviews, doing, hopping on other people's YouTube channels or live streams and stuff like that. Like, there's 100 billion other things to do than spend time on social media trying to impress strangers.
That's a bar. It's so hard, isn't it? I think I have had several viral videos over the past couple of years, and it's one of those things where it's a gift and a curse, because whilst it can definitely help the career, overwhelmingly what it does is it brings in a whole rush of people who then just give you a quick follow, and then your job is to make them become a fan and make them actually become really engaged with what you do. So I know everyone wants to go viral. It's kind of this dream thing, but I guess it's such a shame that that's the way the platforms are set up now. Is that you have a post that either does really, really phenomenally well and is shown to a huge amount of strangers, or you have a post that doesn't do very well and is shown to very few people who actually choose to follow you in the first place. And that is tricky, because then if you're always constantly making work for new people, it's you're almost like chasing your tail. And the people who buy stuff from me are overwhelmingly people that I've met in real life. It actually blew my mind, literally blew my mind when I first discovered the link between people who've met me in real life and the people that buy my work. Because I thought it was about my art. I thought people bought my art because of what it looks like what it visually represented. And then when you realize if they've not bought it, because then there's so much more going on there behind the scenes. I mean, I guess I'd need a psychologist on to really like delve down into what that is. Mm-hmm. But it's so interesting. I mean, every now and then I'll get someone in Italy buy a print and I'll ship it off, or someone in Australia. But overwhelmingly, I would say probably 80-90% of sales I make, which is what keeps the lights on, come from people that I've met in real life. So how can we meet more people in real life, I suppose, should be the main question that we should be asking ourselves, rather than how many strangers can we meet on the box? Because when you've got the little black box in your hand, they are not connected to you in the way that when they shake your hand and they look you in the eye, it's a totally different connection, and it's much more valuable.
To your point then, yeah, how are more of the bands and stuff in our world not mega rich? Because they're in front of people all the time, meeting people all the time, after shows, shaking hands, posing for photographs. They should have no problem. And 80-90% of them aren't sending emails to their fans. They're posting on social media for 4% of their audience to see. People, a month after release date don't even know that an album came out, because the only way they follow or know anything about the band is because from social media. Yeah, meeting people, being in front of people, like absolutely doing interviews or podcasts or whatever, where people can hear you and see you, and that's so real. And that's why I feel like with the web right now, especially with like AI writing text and AI writing blog posts or email newsletters, gross, doing and being human and being a person is gigantic right now, because it's so easy to hide.
I'm actually really excited about that happening, because I've noticed on my feed sort of fake AI advertising and stuff starting to pop up. And because I'm a street artist, the advantage that I have of people actually seeing my stuff in the street that's real, rather than seeing it on a phone and it's just been made by a computer, I think it's a huge advantage. I'm so, I guess, repulsed by an AI image when I see, because we can all tell, and you can also tell when you read like an article that's been written by AI as well. It's not hard to spot these things. Like the language that they use is so specific, and you just go, ChatGPT wrote this, and I just flick off of it straight away. It just doesn't interest me. Right?
Yeah. The AI summaries. Now in Google Workspace, like there's this stupid thing where it'll summarize my emails for me, or what. It's like, I've been writing emails for 20 years. Like, I don't need help writing an email. Get away. Like, I love your point too, though, of like in real life and seeing things in real life. I just saw a video of Quentin Tarantino talking about doing live theater for that very reason. Like, he's like, I don't want to make movies. I want to do theater now. I mean, it's easy for him to say because he made all those movies, of course, but it's still to the point of like, it's so hard to replicate theater. Whether you're Quentin Tarantino or whoever, you could still get 5 people in a room and do a show. You could there's something special and magical and everything to that in person. Cassidy from Dedicate Your Life to Music says this all the time for musicians, bands and stuff like that. Like, oh, how do I get out there? How do I play these venues? How do I how do I go viral on Spotify? And Cassie's like, go busk. Go set up at a sidewalk somewhere, a corner somewhere, go on a train or at a transit center and just play your music in front of people. Like, cause that is so magical. Like, you've probably seen it, all this battle with AI on the streaming platforms and stuff like that. AI is not busking. AI is not entertaining people in a park, playing the saxophone or something like that in the distance. Like, that shit's real and awesome. So yeah, bring on AI, because the rest of us that, create and make and put this stuff out into the world, like, yeah, we're going to stand out from that.
Yeah. The image that was coming to mind when you were saying that was like a live drummer who, and how they're like slightly off or like slightly not in time. There's something so beautiful about the imperfection of art. And I suppose at some point the AI models will replicate the imperfection to try and make the perfect thing, because the perfect thing is imperfect. But yeah, I think we have such an advantage if we make our own work, because I think people can tell. And I think the fact that one of my paintings could be replicated by AI in half a second, but it takes me hours or weeks to make, that's kind of the point. That's part of the story that you're buying, is the blood, sweat and tears that goes into an album or into a poem or into a painting. It's like it's the time that the creator spent with it is, I suppose it's the energy, without sounding too woo-woo about it. It's the energy of your art, isn't it? That is wrapped up within, and that's the thing that can't be replicated.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, all these new tools and whatever coming along to like that you can make music like at the touch of a button. It's like, what? Like, I picked up a guitar at 14 or 15 years old, learned real quick that I sucked at it, picked up the bass and learned, every band needed a bass player because everyone was busy being a guitar player. So I got to play in bands and like that, and the people I met from playing shows and this and that, like that I work with 20 some years later, because of the relationships and and bonds formed from those moments. To sound woo-woo, it was magic. A lot of standing outside of venues, after shows and stuff like that, sweaty and gross, and it's cold outside, and like shiver, like whatever, going to the diner afterwards and stuff. What are you gonna do? Push a button, make a song, then what? You think you're gonna play Madison Square Garden from that? Like, no, get out of here. You're not gonna do. None of that's gonna happen. Maybe it goes viral and it gets 1 million streams, but like, okay, cool. Because 5 minutes later or an hour later, something else will go viral and everyone will forget about your thing.
Yeah. You're so easily replaced. And I really worry, and this makes me sound like a real old geezer, but I do worry about the coming up generations that we're telling them that they can have everything at the push of a button. And we're not saying you can be really great at something, but it's going to take you 15 years. It's going to take you 10 years. It's that practice and the sucking is like the integral part of becoming an artist. I don't believe in natural talent. I don't believe that you can just pick something up and be fantastic at it. I think when you look at an artist's work, you can see their journey within it. And Kellyanna, who's been on the show before, she's always my go-to artist example for this, is like, because she studied fashion drawing and because she used to draw ballet dancers in like 30 seconds and doing quick poses, and because she was involved in sports, and you look at her work and all of that is encompassed. It's the fabric of her work is, and because she worked in textiles, there's so much of her journey, but you can only get that if you go on the journey, and the journey is going to take time. And again, it brings us back to social media. That is the myth that's perpetuated on social, that I just woke up one day and I could do all of these things. Aren't I special? Aren't I great? Celebrate me.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes some of those artists or whatever they get picked up, they get book deals, they get record deals, and then they bomb because there's no magic behind it. It was great. You won the lottery, but like, if there's nothing behind it, I've seen it before of artists, musicians, getting picked up, and like, yeah, you've never toured. You never did a weekend tour, like with a band in a van, like for 2 nights and slept on floors. Like, yes, it's great. The technology, it's a great equalizer, and we all have laptops and we can all this recording software and microphones and this, that, and the other. Great. But like, nothing replaces the what you get from being on the road or whatever, or doing open mic nights, poetry readings. Like, that's the stuff that I'm not a huge comedy person. Like, I appreciate it here and there. I'll watch the clips here and there and stuff like that. But I love the idea that they like how they workshop material. They get in front of a crowd and work. They write. It's that to me is magic. Like, what do you mean they just get like yellow notepads and write jokes for hours And then like I just see the end product of them on YouTube telling a funny joke, but it's like that. There was a year behind that, and so the medium is the same. Like YouTube, you and I could like make a joke and put it on YouTube. That wouldn't work at all, and that's probably why we don't see that. You know, we probably don't see people on YouTube like this. Hey, what's the deal with airports? Like that doesn't work. That's not comedy. That's just that would be horrible.
I actually wrote a Substack article on that topic.
You did?
Because I think the journey of the comedian is so relatable to every creative, and it should just give us all confidence, because every creative field you've got to go through the sucking part. But for a comedian, they'll get booed off stage, which is one of the hardest, most humiliating thing for a human being to deal with. And at least in most other circles, you don't have to do that. Like you can practice guitar in your bedroom without anyone seeing until you're good enough to go up on stage. But the energy of a comedian, you can't do that. You can write as many jokes as you want, but until you practice them live and work on your delivery and learn how to start to read the energy of a room, then it's never going to work. So I think comedians are some of the bravest creatives that we have, because everything is so in public, and even the best comedians will still go out and try material and have it not work, which is such a wonderful sort of playing with your comfort zones and pushing yourself out. And I think it's really interesting listening to comedians talk about this, because comedians in the 70s and 80s used to be able to just coast on doing the same material, and we live in a different world now where that's just not possible anymore. And it's like you have to live on that edge of, I know these are going to get the laughs, but actually the wonder is in working out these bits that don't yet work. There's something magic there. And I'm just glad that when I do a painting, I'm not gonna, if someone doesn't like it, that's absolutely fine, and maybe it's going to get painted over, but I don't have to stand there and be booed off stage. That is like, it's such a brave thing to do. Yeah.
You speaking of the edge, like working that edge, I think that's the element that makes everything better is the live element, is the putting it out there element. The more often you're able to put something out, the more it brushes up against other people. And like, that's what refines it. And like, if you just sit on it and don't release anything ever, and I got to get this perfect, or this, like it'll never get better. And that's taking it back to like the world I work in of email newsletters and stuff. Like there's always so much of like, well, I don't want to send too often, I don't want to be too spammy. And it's like, no, you send an email every week or every 2 weeks. Like people that sign up for your stuff want to hear from you. And is your first newsletter going to be great? Is your first newsletter after not sending newsletters for 8 years going to be great? No, but that 10th one will be better. The 20th will be better. And like, you're going to learn so much along the way. And all of that is just like trying to get better at it and getting whatever you're doing in front of more people. And it just makes you better.
Yeah. Yeah. With in-person stuff, I don't have a good answer to this. How do you get people to come to stuff in real life?
Ooh. Yeah. It used to be that when Facebook and such worked, you could just like, oh, I'll just put it out there and then people will come. But anymore, it has to be that direct connection. It has to be, I see some good artists do this. They'll just do newsletters talking about upcoming tours and tell stories of how new songs, new material, this, that. It doesn't even seem like it's going in that direction. But then at the bottom of the email, it's a list of tour dates and like buy tickets here. If you can reach out to people via email for an event, for a tour, like that makes it so much easier. And especially too, if you're collecting email addresses on tour or those live performances, again, I'll go back to Cassidy from Dedicate Your Life to Music. As a smaller band, to go play like a new city or new state or whatever like that. And then if you just get 3 emails from there, great. The next time you go back to that town, you can email those 3 people. That sounds so small and insignificant, but that's how you get 30 and that's how you get 300. And so if you can email 3 people directly, Yeah, not even some automated like, oh, sign up for my list and put your zip code here. No, remember that you like went to that town and played in and got 3 people's email addresses. Because people are checking emails, like, because they want to know the shipping details of the vinyl records they bought, or the artwork they bought, or the direct deposit went through from a job or something like that. Like, people are checking emails. Like, I think that's the biggest place to get people to events, whether it's like big email marketing stuff where you're sending to a massive list, or just for real, like, oh yeah, I remember this person from this town, from this city. I know they live there, and like, shoot them an email, let them know. Because so often, like, and I hear a lot of artists say this, like, oh, I posted on social media and like no one comes, or no, like, yeah, no one sees those posts. Or if they do, like, it's in between 800 other things. So, but when you send it via email, there's power in the direct connection. And I would also say too, like if you can, if it's small, if it's something in your area, and I've been trying to do this, is good old flyers, you know, posted around in places where people go, like the stuff that I'm trying to do, like a social media escape club, like in-person gathering. Let's just get to like my Zoom calls that I do every week. Let's just get together and talk about Facebook, whatever, you know, and how that's working. But I know in this small town, like, I know where the coffee shop is. I know where the record store is. I know this other place down the street. I know the co-working spot would let me put up a flyer. Great. That's 10 people. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to post on social media for that.
Yeah. I love that sort of reversion to old school tactics, because they never stopped working. Mm-mm. And to quote Gary Vee, the variable is the creative. So if you make a shit flyer, no one will come. And then that's a lesson in marketing and art direction and all of those types of things. But if you can make a flyer that's going to stop someone in their tracks, your success ratio on that is going to be so much more than it's so easy to scroll. It's so easy to scroll and ignore. And I think as well, I mean, I guess a lot of creators think about themselves too much. And this goes for any sort of content creation or anything that they're making. And I think putting yourself in the shoes of the person who you want to come to the event, what are they going to get from it? And really finding a way to communicate that to them. I'm sort of quite well known for giving away art. That's a great way to get people to come out, because they know they're going to get something from it. So I know I can fill a room if I say, if you come, you're also going to get a print. That's like, so there's definitely ways, isn't there? And I do love, I mean, as a street artist, I'm always going to advocate putting stuff out in the world in real life, like tangible stuff. And I mean, even with my work, I paint with neon pink paint. So it's the phones can't actually display my work in the way that your eyes can see it, because I only learned this recently, but phones aren't capable of showing neon colors. The color that they work with it doesn't display neon on a screen. So anything that anyone sees online of my stuff is a representation. But when you see it in real life and that pink really burns your retinas, that's only an experience that people can have in the real world. And that's important. Like, what is it about your work that is going to touch people that they can't experience? Like, what can they have that they can't experience online? And I read an article recently about how the new status symbols, like the ultra rich, their status symbol is going to be, they don't spend much time online. And that's going to be for the poors. The poors are going to be the people who are constantly addicted and scrolling. And we see it with sort of brands at the moment that are doing like pop-ups and in-person meetups, and they're trying to move their online audience into a real space. And so we're really at the beginning of this sort of trend of people trying to do stuff in the real world. And I think there's such a huge opening and opportunity there for so many creative people to just go, well, what can I do that's outside of the box? Sorry, Seth, I'm going on a complete.
It's fine.
I'm going on a complete rant now, but
I love it.
I always think of Alex May Hughes, who's been on the show, and her first couple of shows were just in a local pub, And so she didn't have to pay anything for the venue because the pub said, well, you're going to bring us customers who are going to buy beer. Great. Her work, because it's traditional sign painting, works perfectly within the space of a pub anyway. It looks like it's supposed to be there. And so her first couple of shows were one night only. So there's like this FOMO thing of this is when you can buy my paintings. They're only available for one night only. Come and drink some beer, be in the pub. And like that just works for everyone. It works for the venue. It works for the artist. And it's such a different thing that no one's like really brave enough to do. Like, go to your local library and do a show. Go to your local bus stop and turn it into a gallery. Like, just think of mad shit that you can do that's outside. And then you can always like document that and put it on social media. It'll probably do fucking well because people are then living vicariously of like, oh, I wish I'd been there and seen that in the flesh myself.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, you know, before the internet came along, and especially before social media, and we all started looking at our phones so much, that's what we did. We were just always out. You know, me growing up, I mean, it was before the internet, but like, we were mountain biking and playing basketball and like going to shows and riding our BMX bikes around town with like other people and stuff like that. And then like you would go and meet up, and it was before cell phones too. I'm really aging myself, but like you would just run into friends and stuff like, and I think too, it's not just like, oh, you know, we don't do that anymore. We should, well, because there are very rich people that like make phones. There are rich companies that make the data networks that deliver the stuff to our phones. And then there's an entire industry of people that make the content that shows up on these phones. Those are three giant things keeping us attracted to this little black rectangle. Of course, like there are no three big industries that are like, you know, come to a show. No offense, but like venues can't even like, you know, keep a Facebook page updated. You know, or you know, I mean, because they don't have the money, because, you know, it's a volunteer network of people that are trying to get people out to shows and this and that, and like everyone's relying on Facebook. So like, shit, that sucks. There's a lot of rich people, smart people, whose job it is every single day to keep you looking at your phone. And to keep you on their platform too. Like, don't click that link to look at your art or buy this record. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just stay right here. And I'll say too, like, to follow up on the FOMO part, this person I'm on a couple of Zoom calls with, Cato, a play that worked really big in Playwright. They moved on to children's book illustrations, but doing local theater and stuff like that, or bigger theater stuff. Cato got really good at not just the playwright and directing and stuff. They're fantastic at that, but they got really good at like photography, to take great photos at the event and post them after the event took place, so that they could say on social media, this was a while back when this still worked, but like, look at what you missed. Look what you missed out on. So by having great photos of events that took place. So now that there's that FOMO. So now the person is like, oh my goodness, I need to pay attention to what you're doing, because I don't want to miss that. And again, no, I mean, I don't mean this again. Like, I mean, show posters are great. They're amazing and stuff like that. But like at the same time, like on social media, if that's all you're posting, or your newsletter is just a show poster and like a bit of text and buy tickets, meh, okay. The photography of live bands, the photography of like a comedy show, the photography of, or events like art galleries and stuff like that. Like the photos from those things, like, I don't know the exact term of how they do it, but the flash photography that they do, that the good photographers do that. Hell yeah, show me that stuff. Like, shit, I missed out on that. I need to go to the next one. So like, I think to your point, the FOMO of it, yeah, the one-timeness of it. It's here, it's gone. It's not on video. I can't watch it on YouTube later. That's what we used to do, and I think we're longing to get back to that a bit. There's
an incredible artist who paints these beautiful oil paintings, completely photorealistic, and then he will invite people, a very select few will be invited to an event where he then dips the painting into a big pot of paint. And then he'll post that online with the dripped paint on it, but he won't post the actual. So by going to the event, that's the only time when you can see the actual full painting. So that will never be seen by anyone, because it's no photographs are allowed and it's never taken. But then he will post the drip, and there you can tell that it's a beautiful like portrait or something, but like just half of it has been immersed in paint. What a beautiful sort of piece of performance and an exclusivity of I'm not just going to give this to you online, because I suppose we give so much as creatives. We are feeding these algorithms and spending so much time on our art, and then we throw it online and it's 10 seconds in someone's feed and then it's gone. And there's something really beautiful about holding an event like that where people can, it's an experience. It's like this is the only time you're going to see this. It's not going online. So it's something sacred that we've shared together.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. There's a band, Axe Slasher, from Denver, Colorado, and the singer's name, Professor Pizza. Their logo is a pentagram made out of a pizza, and great band. And he said years ago, why should I give my best work to Twitter? Why should I give my best material to social media networks? Which is true. Like, or the photographer Noah Colino recently, he put up a video of it. Just, he takes amazing photos, and he's like, I took this amazing photo, and my first thought was like, I need to post it. And he's like, why? Why do I want to post it? It sucks now. Why do I want to put it there? And so, yeah, the idea, I mean, whether for him or for us or whatever like that, I find more and more lately, because I'm not on any social media except Substack Notes, but like, rather than if I take a nice photo and post it somewhere for everyone to see, why don't I just text it to 3 people? 3 people, like, and I don't need to constantly impress or entertain 2,000 people. Let me just send it to 4 or 5 people. That link that you were going to post on a social media feed and like dunk on some dumb politician. Yeah, cool. Like, just have a conversation with your friend over it. Like, we don't need to constantly be entertaining the masses or trying to, and feeding into the machine that keeps everybody staring at their phones.
It's so interesting though, isn't it? Because that's how it started. It started as a way for us to keep in touch. Right.
And but it also became like, I know what the kid that sat behind me in 10th grade science class had for breakfast today.
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to know that? It became this saturation of like, I know 8,000 things, but it's also the part too of like how addictive and sticky the news is then. Like, oh, great, I know every atrocity that happened in all 50 states, like, before I get out of bed. Yeah. And that's all weighing on my mind, especially here, what's going on.
I think it was the New York Times in, like, the 1930s that discovered that their negative headlines got more attention than their positive headlines. Oh, wow. And that was...
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean...
It's been downhill since then.
I mean, in my music world, I've seen it, because I've worked in it and everything like that, but it was just like... I see it to this day. I don't work in the editorial music world anymore, but like, some obscure band will have a singer who dies, and that gets a headline. And then you look on the site of how many other times they mentioned that band or talked about that band, and it's 0. And I get it, because like, yeah, I mean, I have worked in that world. Like, yes, you do, like, hey, listen to this new song from a band you probably never heard of. No, like, nobody could.
Yeah.
Not nobody, but like, it doesn't. But if someone dies, oh, that's a lot more traffic. That's a lot more revenue generated that way. Yeah, it's horrible. But to that point though, of like, it is like, it's the viral thing. Like, do I want to attract the 1 million people that are going to look at this dumb sensationalist thing? Or can I be okay just entertaining 30 people with this new song? Like, from a band that I saw at a show last weekend. Who do you want to serve? Like, it's a Seth Godin thing. Like, it's a race to the bottom. The problem with the race to the bottom is you might win. And I've worked in that world, and it sucks. Like, so many sites these days don't curate. They just like post everything, hoping something will stick to the wall. Instead of taking the chance, having some authority and being like, no, these are the 5 things we're posting today, and that's it. to that artist that you were talking about. Here's this great piece of artwork. Guess what? Boom. It's in the paint now and you can't see it except for the people here that saw it. And that's it.
Yeah.
I love that.
You talked about sort of sending a photo to like 3 mates or having 30 people listen to a new song. What is success to you?
I think back and forth from that. I think anybody, engaging, going back and forth with that. Like I, do a newsletter. Sure, I look at the subscriber count, of course, recurring revenue, blah, blah, blah. But if someone replies to my email newsletter, that makes my day. Like someone took the time to like reply to something. It's like, this is amazing. And not just because like you alluded to it earlier of like, oh, they moved down the funnel, but not because of that. But it's just like, here's this person. Like I get to, I get to write stuff and people like resonate with it. Like my Zoom calls, I do weekly Zoom calls with my paid subscribers with Social Media Escape Club. It's only like around 10 people. Only. I've had someone cry on my calls because they were so moved by all these other artists talking about like how to reach their audience without social media, how to do things offline, how spending less time on social media makes them create better work. And someone cried and like I was a part of that at all. Like whatever, it was just this magic of like 10, that's it, 10 people.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I think if I love and the energy of those 10 people, 8 people, whatever, like, because you just never know what might happen. Like on these calls, of course I look at it and think like, well, it could be 25. It could be 4. It should be 50. Like, but it's 10. Today it's 10, whatever. And like, there's been people that have met each other now from my calls and sent me a selfie from those. Yeah. What? I write about newsletters and so getting off social media, and these people are meeting each other from my like. That's what I seek. I seek the connection. I seek getting closer. Just the conversations. People just emailing me out of the blue with like things that I wrote about and stuff like that. And you know what though too? Like I've been doing this since 2001, writing in the music space and stuff. Like I've had people that read my music blog back then email me today and be like, oh, I'm so glad I found you and you're doing Social Media Escape Club. That's so cool. I love what you're doing. Like, holy crap, you read my thing from 20 years ago. That's amazing.
I love that, dude. I read a really beautiful piece you wrote about your dad passing away and that you went to collect his stuff and someone passed by and asked for a photo of your dad. And you were talking about how, because your dad was a musician, it was very clearly that there had been a deep connection with that other human being, that they were sort of going through this grieving process as well. It just resonated so much with me of you hear it on podcasts all the time of like, if only one person listens to it and it helps them, then I've done my job. And I think that essay that you wrote was such a beautiful representation of your dad doing his job, of like, clearly here's a human that was touched by the art that your dad made.
Yeah, thanks. It's weird. I'm getting a little emotional thinking about that. I didn't have a super great relationship with my dad. I'm not grieving that part of it, but that interaction part. This other person I've never met, total stranger, pulled up in a car named Otto and asked for a picture. And we just talked briefly. It was a long day. It was in Florida. I was sweaty and gross, covered in dust. Got a photo from my sister, handed it to him. And all he did was listen to his music from his back deck, and that was my dad playing music for who he thought was nobody. Nobody's listening. No one's at the club. But this total stranger, like that moment was, I didn't think it'd affect me as much right now, but it does. And like, I haven't thought about it much, but yeah, handing that person. Special part about that too was it was a photo. It was a physical photo. It wasn't like, here, let me airdrop you a photo or some shit. Like It was like, no, here's a real print, 35 millimeter print. So yeah, I mean that was just one person. And
Yeah.
to a point where months later, like I think back on it and I get choked up about it because and that was the only interaction I had with that person.
Yeah.
There was no other value or whatever in that. There was no funnel. It was just what do we have at the end of the day is just the interactions we have with other people. All our subscriber counts and bank accounts and everything like that. I just had to put up with that with my dad passing away. Oh, that burns. It's gone. It's deleted. When you check out. So I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, all we have is the connections and the relationships and the friendships we have now.
Beautiful. 100%. I mentioned before we started recording that sometimes there's just a mic drop moment and that's when it's time to end the show. I think that was we're not getting any better than that. That was really beautiful.
I'll take it.
Thank you for
I'll take it, dude. Thanks for taking me there. I didn't think I was gonna get there to on a random Wednesday. Thank you for that.
Sure, but again, it's you just wrote some words, put them out into the ether. They found me and struck a chord with me. So this is what I believe we're here to do is make work that makes people feel something. And if we can do that, then we've done our job. And I think, the internet is such a confusing place and has become this crazy, weird thing. But at the end of the day, whatever method you have of communication, if you can get it out there into the ether and make people feel something, I think that's our purpose. That's what we're here to do. So, yeah.
Internet's a tool, not a destination.
100%. Another bar.
A tool that brought you and I together. Great. We used another tool to get it here and do this. This will go out and whatever. But yeah, we're not gonna live. We don't live here online. We're so yeah.
100%. Amazing. So I normally sign these interviews off with tell people where they can find you online. There's really only one place that you hang out online now, isn't there?
Well, just two places. Yeah, I'm on Substack, socialmediascapeclub.substack.com, but also sethw.xyz. That's my blog that I've been running since 2018. So you can find a lot of stuff on there too. So
amazing. Seth, thank you so much.
Absolutely, David. Thank you so much for this. This has been a real treat.
Do you know someone who would benefit from listening to this episode? If you do, share it with them. This podcast literally wouldn't exist if it weren't for the paid subscribers over at creativerebels.substack.com and for the team at Joy Collective.